Okay, welcome back. In this module, we are going to be talking about the indirect approach, a phone invitation for someone that you know, someone you've got a relationship with. The first one, I'm going to give you an invitation that is one of the most successful invites as far as getting the appointment for someone who's successful. It works almost 100% of the time. It is very, very, very effective. And I'm going to give you my personal take on this. I am not big on the indirect approach, asking someone for their opinion, asking someone if you can give feedback, things like that. It's not a real strong invitation. It doesn't really put you in a place of power. But early on in my network marketing career, I didn't have a lot of posture. And this is something that I used, and I actually was able to use it fairly effectively. And so if you've got people in your life and you just know they're on your chicken list and you're probably never going to invite them, you know you want to. If they got involved in the business, they could be huge because maybe they've got a lot of credibility. They know a lot of people. They're really successful, but they intimidate you. You're afraid of what they're going to say, things like that. If you're not going to contact them and you're not going to use a direct approach, use an indirect approach. It's going to be 1,000,000 times better than not inviting them at all. And I'll tell you a couple other things. Number one is if you don't invite them and someone else in your company does, and they show up to a presentation or they enroll and they end up building a big business, you cannot believe the amount of heartburn that you will feel about that. You can't imagine the amount of regret that you will feel for not inviting them. And so in your mind, just lock it in that you have to talk to the people on your chicken list. Now, here's the other thing that I have found true. After 20 years of being involved in this profession, it is the people in many cases that already are successful. In many cases, they're the ones who are going to see it. They're the ones that are going to understand the business. They're going to be the ones who are motivated to get started. And in many cases, they're the ones who are going to be successful. So there's a reason why they're successful already. They're successful already because they're open-minded, because they're already an entrepreneur, because they already have the skill set that it takes to be successful in something. Now, the skill set to be successful in network marketing, it is different than other careers. There is going to be a learning curve. I don't care if you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. When you get involved in network marketing, it's a different skill set. There is going to be a learning curve. But believe me, the people who are already successful, those are the first ones that you should go show your business to, because chances are they're the ones who are going to understand it the most. And this is very, very simple. Been around for a lot of years. It's very simple. Number one, give them a compliment. And then use the if I, would you formula. So compliment, if I, would you. So let me give you an example. Let's say I've got my Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob is very successful, runs a couple different companies. He already has a bunch of employees. If I'm calling Uncle Bob, I'd say, hey, Uncle Bob, it's Matt. Listen, I've always respected you. You're the smartest businessman that I know. And I've just always admired what you've done in business. And I've got a business that I'm working on with a friend of mine, John, and I just wanted to ask you a question. If I were to show you what we're working on, would you give me your honest feedback? Would you give me your honest opinion? And here's the psychology behind this. Number one, when you give someone a compliment, it boosts their ego. Successful people like to have their ego boosted. And so you're, one of the smartest guys that I know. I've always admired you in business. And, then they feel good. And then you're appealing again to their ego. If I were to show you the business model that my friend John and I are working on, that we've just put together, we just started a business, would you give us your honest feedback? Would you give us your honest opinion? Use one of those two, either feedback or opinion. I like feedback. I don't know. For some reason, I just don't like the word opinion. then chances are he's going to say, yes, absolutely. In his mind, he's thinking, oh, I'd love to mentor these guys. Now, here's why I mentioned my friend and I, John. Now, when you can bring in a third party, then your enrollment ratio is always going to be higher. However you're doing an invite, if you're doing a direct approach, and you want to, sit down for coffee, go ahead and book the appointment, and then you can let them know someone else is going to be coming with you. Or, I've got an idea that my friend John and I have put together. He's probably going to be in the area. If so, I'll have him meet us. You'll love him. I'll see you there. Okay? The reason why you bring in the third party is because for Bob, my Uncle Bob, he's very successful, but he doesn't know anything about my friend John, who I'm doing my business with. And so when it comes time to actually sit down and meet, we set the appointment, and then I make the introduction. And here's how it might look. I'd say, hey, Uncle Bob, I just really appreciate you sitting down with me. I've told my friend John about how you're the most successful, person that I know, and I've just always honored what you do in business. And listen, it really means a lot for me that you've sat down with us to, take a look at what we're doing. Uncle Bob, this is my friend John. Now, John, very, very successful entrepreneur. In fact, with the concept that we're working on here, he has helped a lot of other people. He's my personal mentor with this business, and it is just a big honor for me to be able to work with him. He is incredibly busy, so to be able to get a little bit of his time here is just very valuable to me. So thank you both so much. Uncle Bob, meet John. John, meet Uncle Bob. And so if you notice what I did, here's how the psychology works. Is Bob, now I have established credibility with my friend John in the business, and I'm going to let John do most of the work. I'm going to let John present the business. I'm going to let him go through that, and he hopefully will have the kind of posture where it doesn't matter that, Uncle Bob is very successful. He's going to present the business just like he would anyone else. And so that is an incredible way to call someone, appeal to their ego, give them a compliment. If I were to show you what I'm working on, would you give me your honest feedback, have them meet with you, and then bring the third party in to do most of the work? So that's one that I'm telling you will work like crazy. Here's another one. If you've got someone like maybe your Uncle Bob who's successful, you can just give him a call and say, hey, Uncle Bob, it's Matt. Listen, I just started a new business with my friend John, and I really wanted to kind of get the guidance of the people that I respect the most. And, you're probably the most successful person that I know. I've always really appreciated what you've done in business. Would you be willing to take a look at what we've put together and give us your feedback? So that's another example. It's a very, very similar, just a little different twist. And here's more of a very indirect approach, is where you call someone, hey, Uncle Bob, it's Matt. Listen, I have just recently started a business, and, I don't think it would be something for you, but I think you might be able to point me in the right direction. You're one of the most successful people that I know. And let me ask you this. Do you think I could count on you for about 30 minutes of your time just to kind of take a look at what I'm doing and maybe point me in the right direction and give me a little bit of mentorship? Okay. Now, that again, you're appealing to their ego, and you're really even saying up front, hey, this is not for you. It's a super backdoor approach. So that's another example of a very indirect approach that's not confrontational. Uncle Bob or whoever it is that you're showing the business to, hopefully they don't get the feeling that you're trying to sell them or enroll them in the business. And so it's just easy to sit down and meet with them. Now, here's another invitation strategy. In fact, we've already really talked about it. It's the if I would you. And you can integrate this into any of the invitations that I've talked about, but it's if I gave you a DVD, would you watch it? So here's an example. You call your friend and you go, hey, John, it's Matt. Listen, just started a new business, and something I'm really excited about, means a lot to me. And I just wanted to ask you, if I gave you a DVD that explained the business model, would you watch it? If I gave you a CD, would you listen to it? If I gave you a magazine, would you read it? If I gave you my website, would you check it out? Would you actually spend some time and check it out? Listen, I've got an invitation-only webinar that I'm doing on Thursday night. If I invited you to that, would you attend? I've got a special invitation-only conference call that I'm doing on Thursday night. If I invited you to that, would you listen in? If I would you? And so it really is almost requiring them to take a step forward. So you've got a little bit more posture, right? You've got something that you'll offer them if they agree to take a look at it. So hopefully some of these indirect strategies will work for you. I know if you use them, they can be very, very powerful. Again, adopt these, make them your own, and listen to this module over and over and over again. Get some of these ideas in your mind, because as you build your business, Millionaire School is not just about you becoming a great recruiter. This is about you becoming a trainer. And so I'm giving you some content that you can actually use to train your organization. I will see you on the next module.